And I'm like, they're obviously not the same thing. One is light gold, one is regular gold, and one is pink. I'm Tanisha Guy. I'm an epic teacher in Gwangju. Been here 5 or 6 years. After a while, time just seems to flow. I'm from America, New Jersey, Berlin, New Jersey, not Germany, New Jersey. No, someone actually asked me, they're like, oh, you're from Germany. I'm like, oh, no, our town is just named Berlin. It's like a suburb, kind of like farmland. So where I grew up, my grandma actually lived next door because they owned the land. So we actually had like a plow, tractor, and we had like corn, and we had a crop and everything. And my mom was a real plant green thumb person. She had like 50 plants in the house, and I did not inherit that skill. More specifically, I miss New Jersey cultural because everything is very honest and open. Like, you don't have to guess someone's intentions. They're gonna tell you your intentions. They'll tell you to your face, I don't like you, or I like you. And it's okay to say that, and no one's gonna get hurt feelings. You just like, oh, you don't like me, that's fine, and they'll move on. Here, everyone's a little sensitive. Bro, it's YouTube. It was YouTube. So I was a psychology major, and of course, you don't make money when you're graduating with a bachelor's degree in psychology. So if you're thinking about like doing more schooling, you're like, how am I gonna pay back these student loans? And I don't know, I was just on YouTube, and it was the Eat Your Kimchi channel, Simon and Martinez, whatever they are. Start watching them, like, okay, they're living. No one's trying to murder them. And then, you look up the website and you're like, it looks kind of legit. And then you start looking into more and you start looking into more channels. You're like, I guess people are living and thriving. And so I told my parents, and they kind of didn't believe me. They were just like, whatever, Tanisha. And I'm like, no, next year I'm going to be in Korea. And they're like, yeah, whatever. And then next time I told my parents, I was like, oh yeah, I got the job. I need to leave my apartment next week. And they were like, what? And I'm like, I told you I was leaving. I don't know why you didn't believe me. Honestly, I wanted to work with children to make sure I liked them, which sounds weird to say, but I was a psych major, and one of the more interesting careers is to be a school counselor. But I didn't want to enter that field or start pursuing it until I made sure I actually liked kids. Because you gotta like them. And then luckily I do, so thank God. But yeah, so that's why I kind of wanted to. And in Korea, it seemed like it was interesting and it was safe, and YouTube made it seem like it was all right. I came here in 2016? Yeah, I think I graduated so yeah, it was the end of 2015, November, Thanksgiving. And so it's 2021, so that's 6 years. First year was in Boryong, and the rest have been here in Gwangju. There's a lot of differences, but I think more is like people beat around the bush here. So let's say you have someone not pleased with you at work, or they think your idea is bad. They're not gonna go up to you and be like, that's a bad idea. Which is something I've done in New Jersey, be like, yo, you're doing that? That's a terrible idea. Why don't you not do that? Here, they're like, and they'll just give a look. Oh, they'll be like, oh, how about this? But they won't actively say, that's a terrible idea, you're about to fail. Yeah, and I miss that. So YouTube makes Korea seem like you're gonna get this grand loft apartment. Everyone's gonna look like a K-pop idol. You're gonna be picked up by a rich man in a Lamborghini outside, and all the children be super well behaved and you'll have no issues. And that is not my Korean experience at all. I had a terrible co-teacher my first year, was screamed and yelled at. Most of the guys are old dudes drinking soju. There's a lot more street spitting than I ever thought I would have encountered in my life. But there are aspects that are great about Korea. Like the cafe culture is great, and like the ease of travel, the safety. I felt relatively safe being in Korea. But yeah, it's definitely not what the YouTubes make it out to be. You're gonna be living in a small one room, and those children, while good, will be wild. I like to say invisible. So meaning because you're not Korean, you're gonna stand out. So you're very visible. But then you're invisible because people are really not gonna talk with you, interact with you because you're not Korean and they don't feel confident speaking English to you. So it's kind of, at times it can be like you feel like awkward because you stand out, and then other times you feel lonely because no one really wants to interact with you. Yeah, honestly, the coloring culture here, like when I go to cafes, either people look at it and see what I'm doing and they're like, all right. Or also the owner has her coloring supplies out there. So the one cafe near our house, it's like a franchise, but she actually has her own watercoloring supplies and coloring stuff there. So I went there and she's way better than me. So I'm just like, don't mind my book of childish scribblings. Because I feel like when Koreans get a hobby, there's no middle. They go hard. Suddenly one day they'll be like, you know what? I got into ballet. And you're like, all right, that's cool. So what do you go, like once a week? And they're like, no, I go 5 days a week. And you're like, what? And they like, I call it they burn out. Now and then suddenly for like 2 years, they're going every day. And then one day they're like, I'm not into it anymore. And I'm like, what? That's wild. I find I have to go to Seoul to get like decent like coloring supplies. I mean, there's markers here, obviously. But like I wanted some Copics because I'm the type where I'm like, if I'm gonna go big, I might as well just spend the money and go big. But I can only find Copics in the Seoul art store here. And they're obviously like a little marked up, but you can get really good Japanese supplies and Japanese coloring books and Chinese coloring books here for cheap in the artistry, and the books are amazing. Honestly, I think overall my self-confidence has definitely shot up. Korea is gonna test you, it's gonna push your limits, and you have to get used to being uncomfortable. And like in the US, it's very easy to stick to your daily routine and not really be challenged. And here you're forced to be creative. Like going to the bank, you're like, well, let me just strap up and like bring my best. So you have to, or like you're trying, even the simplest things might take you being like, okay, I don't know how to say it, but I can use my phone to look up the picture. I can use a translator. You have to get really creative in order to communicate some of the most basic needs. So I had a problem this week. We have these packet coffees at work. They're the Maxim, they're yellow. And my job got 3 different kinds in. And I Google translate the box and it didn't tell, and they all said the same thing. And I'm like, they're obviously not the same thing. One is light gold, one is regular gold, and one is pink. So I want coffee, but I wanted one with less sugar. And I knew one of them was less sugar, and I had a problem of like, I don't know what to do with this. And so like, luckily I'm in the school office and the vice principal sees me just translating with the phone, all the boxes, and flipping the packet over and trying to translate. And finally she broke it down for me. She was like, this one, diet. This one, sugar, no. And this one, sugar, yes. And like finally I was like, okay. But it took me 10 minutes to get a simple cup of coffee. So you have to have like self-confidence to be able to be like, look, I'm gonna mess this up and it's okay. Or people are gonna stare at me weird and it's okay. You're not gonna die, basically, just how you have to go through it. And so now when I went back home to visit, even my family and friends thought I was like really changed because I suddenly had more confidence. I'm like, oh, I don't care what people think. I'm gonna go do this. Or, oh, go ask this. Or like, I'll have no problem like bursting into a place and being like, what is this? Even in Japan, I went to a place, it looked cute. I just burst in there. I'm like, is this a cafe? And they're like, this is an underwear store. I'm like, all right, cool. And I left. But like before then, I would not have the confidence to kick down the door. You'd be like, what is this? Like aggressively. I wish they would stop caring what people thought of them. And I wish there would be less judgment toward themselves and to others. Koreans, I love them, but they're like super judgmental. And they're also super conscientious of being judged. So they're afraid of making mistakes, and they might have like something they really want to do, but they won't do it because they're worried about what people think of them. So example is like, I had Halloween last year at the school. I had a young co-teacher, early 20s. You would think he would be looser. So I was like, yes, I'm dressing up as Animal Crossing Isabel. What are you dressing up as? And he was like, no, I can't. And I was like, what do people think? And I was like, they'll think you're the English teacher and it's Halloween. What do you mean what people think? Like, That's part of Halloween, is being silly and stepping outside the box and not being afraid of having people laugh at you and being like, haha, but you're laughing with them. They're not laughing, you're in the joke together. But because of the culture here where they're so worried about people and what they think, they can't loosen up without drinking. Hence why the drinking culture is so bad here. Without drinking, they just can't have like fun. And it's sad. More self-confidence. Like, I travel by myself. I went to Italy by myself, Vietnam by myself. I don't think I would have been able to travel like that before Korea. I go anywhere by myself now because, like, I find if you wait on people, you'll be waiting all day. And also, I don't like traveling with people. I don't mind doing it, but then I always feel like an expectation I have to make sure they have a good time. And then I worry about, are they enjoying themselves? Are they tired? Are they stressed? And I don't mind being lost. Like, part of being traveling is being comfortable and like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm gonna end up, but I don't care. But when you're traveling with someone, I'm really conscientious, like, oh, are they gonna be comfortable being lost, or the fact that I have no clue where I'm going? And we might end up at the cafe I said we're going, or we might not end up at the cafe I said we're going. It's a whole, I don't know. I'm more capable than I thought I was. And I actually am a pretty decent teacher. Shocked me to the core, because, you know, when I was a kid, everyone was like, oh, Tanisha, you'd be a great teacher. And I'm like, I don't know about that. Please don't put me in this box. And then suddenly now I come here and I'm like, oh God, I'm a good teacher. This fucking sucks. But yeah, I'm capable of doing things. Yeah. That we are annoying. And we take over the media of everything. We just input ourselves into things that we probably should have input ourselves into. And then honestly, we're pretty annoying. If someone's loud, it's probably American. If someone has a terrible opinion, it's probably American. I guess there was a time I was me and my friends end up at the Gwangju police station having a police chief calling us a thief. So what happened was my friends in Boryong came to visit me in Gwangju. And there's no finders keepers law here. Keep that in mind. If you find something on the ground, leave it. So we're at Olive Young, and my friend finds $30 on the ground. And she's like, finders keepers, man, this is mine. And we leave the Olive Young, go down the street, and some police officers approach us and start calling her a thief. And they're like, get in the car, we're going to the Gwangju police station. So like, we have to get in the car, we go down there. And so there's 3 foreigners, one like me and my 2 friends, and it was hilarious because she had on a stupid hat and sunglasses and a face mask. So she just looked guilty from the get-go. And then they're like, the police officers start asking us for our ARC cards, and we're like, crap. If they contact our schools and it gets up the chain, this is terrible. And honestly, it was on the ground. It wasn't like she like mugged some middle school girls. And they're like, yeah, it was on the ground, but you shouldn't have taken it, yada yada. And they're demanding our ARC cards. And of course I had it on me. And I was like, no, I just lied. Cause like, you hand it over, it's gonna be a big deal. So we're all like, all me and my friends, we all just looked each other in the eye and we're like, we say nothing. And so we all just played dumb. Like, we know nothing, still know nothing. Here, take the $30 back, blah, 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 blah. And after half an hour and him calling us a thief because he couldn't pronounce thief, and it was the older guy calling us a thief, and the younger guys were just kind of like, they let us go. But it was like pretty intense moment. So if you ever get arrested in Korea, do not have your ARC card. Just silence up, pretend to be the dumb foreigner, and you'll survive. Honestly, you're home. I mean, I love Korea and it's great, but like being a foreigner in Korea, it can be really taxing, tiring, because you don't speak the language. You have to be extra observant. And being extra observant all the time is exhausting. And then you start finding yourself, like the more years you spend, your English starts slipping. And so I like being home, reading books, listening to English content, and just relaxing. So, and I always like having a very comfortable and cozy like environment at home. So I kind of like just being home and just chilling and decompressing from the day. Honestly, my students. I love them. Even if I like, you know, some days you get up and you just don't feel like getting to work and you're walking to work and then suddenly I'll see a student and they're like, "Hi, Tanisha," and they're waving super fast and they're super excited about English. Then I remember like, "Oh yeah, I'm here for them." It's great. I never know. I ask them how they are. I never know what answer I get. I never know what's gonna happen with them. Sometimes they'll come in my room and just bring a snack or a candy. They're like, "Here, they're for you," or they bring a drawing of you. They always draw me in the messed up way. I look like Hey Arnold one time. I was so mad. I was like, "I don't look like this," but okay, thank you. But I don't know, it's the kids. And when the student tells you like English is their favorite class, or when they like come visit you, even though it's not English class, because they just want to chill in the room and talk and be around you. That's when you know, like, yeah, it's worth it. It's the kids. Korea is nice and the landscape's nice and there's beautiful things here, but the kids is what makes it really special to me.